Hello and welcome, this is TV Papua News of June 2013. With this time, police awarded for human rights violations. KNPB leader Buchtar Tabuni tortured during arrest. Melanesian spearhead group discussed West Papuan full membership application. The Freedom Flotilla holds original nations passport ceremony. Indonesian pressure on the UK and Australia. BennyWenda continues international tour in the Netherlands. Papua NL greets NewGuinea veterans. But first we start with police awarded for human rights violations. Chief of Police Tito Carnavian decorated 2 of his personnel for their role in the police actions during peaceful protests on May 13th. The 2, Commissioner Kiki Kurnia, Head of Operations of the Jayapura City Police, and Brigadier Avandi, member of the Public Order Jayapura Police. I greatly appreciate their efforts in curbing these demonstrations some time ago, on 13th of May 2013 to be precise, said Tito Carnavian to Bintang Papua, a local newspaper. The KNPB held a peaceful demonstrations on this day, after 2 people got killed when Papuans were commemorating 50 years of Indonesian annexation on the 1st of May, led by KNPB Chairman Victor Yemmel, who got arrested that day during this action and is still being detained for his contributions. Victor stated earlier this year that in 2012 Indonesian security forces murdered 22 activists from the KNPB and a further 55 are behind bars. Exactly a year before, on the same date, the Jayapura police murdered KNPB leader Buchtar Tabuni in the middle of the streets of Jayapura, after threatening to do so if he would continue his peaceful demonstrations. More recently, KNPB leader Buchtar Tabuni tortured during arrest. The 12th of June, on the orders of Kiki Kurnia, Buchtar Tabuni, also a member of the KNPB, was arrested and severely beaten, also in the middle of the streets of Jayapura, following a mass KNPB protest he led the day before, calling for the Melanesian spearhead group to welcome West Papua as a full member. He was released on the same day without any medical care. Melanesian spearhead group discussed West Papua full membership application. During the MSG Leaders Summit in New Caledonia capital Naumea, the MSG discussed the full membership application of West Papua, which was applied by the West Papua National Coalition for Liberation as representatives for the West Papuan people.
For support, we must unite and find a viable alternative to solve the longest conflict in our region, West Papua. Your support is vital and urgently needed.
Although the decision has been delayed, this outcome has put the situation of West Papua on the regional and international agenda. And in another part of Melanesia, the Freedom Flotilla holds original nations passport ceremony. In preparation for the Freedom Flotilla to West Papua, First Nations people have held an historic event of the original nations passport ceremony. This as a part of a campaign to bring the international attention to the undeclared war on the indigenous peoples of Australia and West Papua.
Visa dan paspor Papua atas nama negara Federal Papua Barat. Kita lihat ada bersama-sama dengan kami sejumlah masyarakat. Ini grup yang mana akan sudah siap untuk akan melakukan
During the event, artist Nathalie Pa'apa from the Australian band Blue King Brown put it in the following words.
I mean, to see what's happening in West Papua now and the fact that nothing's going on to stop it, well, we can't really put all our eggs in that basket that they're going to just turn around instantly and do that. And so it is so important to support people who are taking justice into their own hands, who are crafting the future by their actions, by their words, by their present, by their thoughts. And I got to say that I'm so inspired by people like that who do that. It's what drives me, it's what continues to push me along the road as a musician, to share stories, to sing about West Papua, to talk about West Papua, and not just West Papua, but justice. You know, as a whole, it's what we're missing as a society, as a race, as a planet. People are patriotic about their country when they need to start being patriotic about Earth and our shared global family, our community, one people, globalized justice, globalized freedom, real freedom. And so we say Papua Merdeka because we believe that freedom for Papua is not just possible, it's on the way, and that's why we're all here today, is because that's what we believe and that's what we're fighting for.
On June 29th, Natalie and her band gave a performance at the Mundial Festival in the Netherlands, where they also met with the Dutch Papuan community. Indonesian pressure on the UK and Australia. The Indonesian government officials have complained to both the UK and Australian government. This both after events of BennyWenda and the Free West Papua campaign. In the UK, this was the Free West Papua campaign office that was opened in Oxford. And in Australia, BennyWenda and Jennifer Robinson gave a speech at a non-profit TED conference in Sydney. In both cases, the governments do their best to keep relationships good with Indonesia, as they have huge economic interest with the Asian country. For the UK, for example, a £7.5 billion natural gas deal in the waters of Papua is at stake. And according to the British newspaper, The Telegraph, leading candidates in Indonesia's presidential election for next year already called for a review of British investments in Indonesia. This after Major of Oxford allowed the office in his city. And Australia has similar concerns, as it has a two-way trade worth of $40.9 billion in 2011 and 2012, and a two-way investments worth of $5.9 billion in 2011. Despite the Indonesian lobby to downplay this international campaign in support of West Papua, the movement seems to steadily grow instead. And in the meanwhile, BennyWenda continues international tour in the Netherlands. When BennyWenda arrived, he had a meeting with Harry van Bommel of the Socialist Party, with whom he discussed the current developments in West Papua. Mr. Wenda is meeting with parliamentarians from around the world to gain their support in the National Parliamentarians for West Papua network. Mr. van Bommel said to be interested to see if he could strengthen this network together with Dutch activists. The next day, BennyWenda attended the funeral of Joffrey Corwin, third-generation activist in the Dutch Papuan community in the Netherlands, who had suddenly passed away. In a short speech, he expressed his respect for a strong spirit.
Why are we here today? For us, for Free West Papua campaign, we lost one of the spirit fighter. But his spirit with us, with me, and Free West Papua campaign, and new generation of West Papua, who here, inside here, look at his missions. His mission, he's standing for the people of West Papua. Look at the future. Look at the missions. Today we lost, but one of the great leader, freedom fighter in the bush said, one Papuan lost, but 100 West Papua will rise up. We new generations continue to fight for his mission, Joffrey Corwin mission, to liberate West Papua from the colonialism.
And the honor it was for him to have worked closely together. Joffrey was a very active member of the Free West Papua campaign NL, and was also present at the opening of the office in Oxford. Later that day, Benny was speaker at the The Hague University of Applied Science, where the Critical Collective organized the What's the Real Story on the West Papua issue.
Thank you very much, and all the you hear my people's story about their struggle. Without your support, my people never free. That's why I really need your help. When you go back, remember my people, they really need you. You are their voice today. You are their messenger. Tell your governments, your friends and family, West Papua needs you. And please tell your MP, write your MP government about West Papua. Papuans are still crying for help, crying for freedom, crying for justice. Without you, we never free. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This event was the last lecture in a series of events organized by Critical Collective, in which Dutch and Indonesian students, activists and Papua NL community members of different generations created more clarity and awareness on this forgotten struggle. This combination of people gave platform to intense debates. TV Papua had the chance to have a short interview with Benny after this last event. Hello, welcome. This is TV Papua live from The Hague University. I'm standing here with BennyWenda, and we just had a lecture on the campaign BennyWenda is the campaign from BennyWenda across the world. First of all, BennyWenda, welcome to the Netherlands. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Maybe your first reaction, how did you think the lecture was going?
I think this is really good that this is first time and I give lecture at this university, and I'm really excited because the new generation, the Dutch new generation coming out and listen the West Papua story, because they didn't know what really happened, what really going on. This is first time West Papua, I deliver a message from West Papua, so it's very important for me to tell the story.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope I can join you in your traditional greeting to greet our watchers of TV Papua.
Wah 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 wah. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and see you next time. Later that month in the Netherlands, Papua NL greets New Guinea veterans. During the Dutch Veterans Day 2013, Papua NL was present in different forums at this big annual event in The Hague, the Netherlands. Central item this year, the current weapon deal that is being discussed between the Dutch and the Indonesian government at the moment for Navy technology.
De oppositie is verbaasd dat minister Timmermans een vergunning verleent om wapens te verkopen aan Indonesië. Als Kamerlid was hij een van de felste tegenstanders van de levering van tanks aan Indonesië.
And almost on the same moment, Papuans remember the 15-year anniversary of the bloody Biak massacre, in which the Indonesian Navy played a central role in killing hundreds of peaceful protesters and even neutral citizens.
With Irian Jaya effectively under military rule, first-hand accounts of massacres are difficult to verify. But now reports of atrocities are filtering out. The 7:30 report has received videotapes secretly filmed in Biak during and immediately after the army crackdown. This man, lucky to have survived, describes for the camera how he was shot in the back, the bullet emerging through his stomach. Business consultant Rebecca Casey and English teacher Paul Meixner were in Biak at the time. They support accounts of a massacre.
We could hear the gunshots for 4 hours and we could see nobody in the streets, just army coming up and down sometimes.
from what we heard, the troops were pursuing people who ran, and afterwards, after they'd shot as many people as they could, they then went into houses around the dock area and just got everybody out of the house. I don't know if they still were shooting people then, but they certainly rounded them up, took them down to the docks and started torturing them in various ways.
But the worst atrocity may have occurred at sea, according to Indonesian churches and human rights groups. They say that after the demonstration in Biak, more than 100 people were taken away in 2 Indonesian patrol boats. Rex Ramakiak, born in Biak, now the OPM's representative in Australia, says they haven't been seen since.
We have reports that some people, estimated over 100, have been headed to aboard 2 ships and taken offshore, and then women were raped and the torture take place, and then bodies were thrown overboard. We have a long history, experience with the military over 35 years, and missing people never come back. So we have a strong belief that they are dead.
There is no independent confirmation of the scale of the massacre. Indonesian officials deny it occurred, claiming that bodies later washed ashore were victims of the Papua New Guinea tidal wave 11 days later. We contacted the Indonesian ambassador to comment on the claims, but he declined, saying he had nothing to add to what is coming out of Jakarta. Meanwhile, the people of Biak are left with their grief, like this woman who lost her son.
If they killed him, please return his body so I can bury him properly. Even if it's rotten, please return his body.
Different New Guinea veterans also got a place during the event for their forms of raising awareness of the ongoing struggle in the former Dutch colony. TV Papua was present in The Hague and made the following report. Hello and welcome, this is TV Papua News from The Hague, the Netherlands. I'm standing here today on Veterans Day 2013 for honoring the Dutch veterans in the different wars last centuries. For example, the war in Dutch New Guinea. It's been 15 years ago that Dutch New Guinea has been transferred from the Netherlands to Indonesia through a UN vote called the Act of Free Choice. I'm joining here today the Dutch members of the Papuan community in the Netherlands who are protesting every year to remind the Dutch people of the suppression going on in the former colony Dutch New Guinea. I'm standing here with the Free West Papua campaign. Can you tell me maybe a little bit why you have pictures this year of the Navy ships?
Yes, because the Dutch government has just signed an agreement, trading agreement to sell warships and the warships technology to Indonesia. So that's why we are standing here to tell people that they shouldn't sell weapon technology to Indonesia, because by doing that they will help to commit genocide in West Papua.
And are the Dutch politicians not aware of the genocide and the human rights violations that are going on in West Papua by the hands of the Indonesian government?
The Dutch government is very aware. In fact, the same person, Mr. Timmermans, last year he used to say that the Dutch shouldn't sell weapons to Indonesia because of the human rights violations. But right now he's a minister and he changes his view. Right now he's businessman from the Partij van de Arbeid.
So he went from idealist to economist as soon as he came into position of the Dutch government.
Yes, so that's the true identity of Mr. Timmermans.
And also what I believe he said is that because it's Navy material for on the sea, it cannot be used for human rights violations. But now it's almost 6th July and then it's the 15 years anniversary of the Biak massacre. Can you maybe tell the Navy role in the Biak massacre 15 years ago?
I think Mr. Timmermans should tell his people to go to Biak and to ask my family, who lost a lot of families 15 years ago, because the Indonesian Navy, they took our brothers and sisters to the ships, to the warships, and they killed them and throw them in the sea. So Mr. Timmermans, you can tell your people to go and look out for this.
Ask for the Biak massacre.
Yeah.
One more question. What were the Biak people doing at that moment? Why did the Indonesian Navy attack them?
Because they were raising the Morning Star flag on the 1st of July.
So I want to close this interview with our national slogan of West Papua into the camera for our viewers at home.
Yes.
So we say, one people, one soul. Thank you. I'm standing here with Chris from the Klauw. Welcome, Chris.
Hello.
Maybe you can explain the watchers what you are doing here today.
I'm every year on the Veterans Day to ask attention for the fact that West Papua is not independent, and the veterans know that, of course, but there are a lot of people here coming, and I want to make them aware of the fact that there is a conflict over there, and to make them clear that the Papuans have the right to have an independence for their country.
Yep. Here comes Free West Papua campaign to support these veterans with traditional songs and music. The message that was repeated by many veterans that day who have served in the former colony Dutch New Guinea was one of sorrow. Sorrow that they were forced to abandon the Papuas under the force of the international politics played in those days of the Cold War. This was TV Papua of June 2013. You stay tuned and we keep you posted. Till next time, safe travels.